Hey, what's up guys, TBL here, coming at you bright and early on a Thursday morning to tell you a little bit of a story, or maybe not even really so much of a story as it is just my morning occurrence. Now I'm waking up, it's nice and bright, I'm happy, things are going good, looks like it's going to be a beautiful day, and then I had to make the mistake of turning on the internet. Oh boy, that's how every single day's worth of mistakes start. But so, I head onto the internet, I head out there to see what's going on in the gaming world today, and I see, IGN's review of The Division, my new favorite game is out. And now look guys, I know, you should take no stock in the reviews and scores and whatnot of any games media today, because most games media these days is utter trash. Kotaku is trash, Polygon is super trash, IGN is trash, GameSpot is trash, which is kind of sad because IGN and GameSpot used to be fairly reputable. I used to actually love going to see their insider news and stuff like that, but a lot of these sites have really fallen from grace over these past couple of years. And so I know, believe me guys, I know I shouldn't care at all what any of these sites say about a game that I enjoy, and I especially shouldn't care about how IGN reviews The Division. But then I do. Alright, so let's set up the scene here a little bit. So IGN's review of The Division came out this morning, and the game gets a 6.8 out of 10. Oh, oops, actually, wait, hold on. A 6.7 out of 10. Can't give it that extra 0.1 additional score, I suppose. Now, again, a 6.7 out of 10. That's a score I wholly disagree with. I completely disagree with. And I already dislike using arbitrary numbers to try and score or review video games. But I guess I can look past it and say, whatever, it's IGN. This is the same place that said Pokemon Omega Ruby only gets a 7.8 out of 10 because there's too much water. So yeah, numbers can be pretty dumb. It's a pretty bad scoring system, especially when it comes to IGN. But I guess the real salt of this video is coming from the comparison of the scores of other interesting, we'll call them, games that have come out and been reviewed on IGN over the past year. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. Right now I want to talk a little bit about some of the complaints that the IGN reviewer had for The Division. And some of them are quite valid. His biggest complaint was that the in-game is kind of thin right now, and I don't think there's any real arguing against that. Once you get to the in-game, hitting level 30 in the PvE sections of The Division, basically all you have to do is your daily missions, the challenging mission, which will grant you Phoenix credits and legendaries and hopefully a high end, and then just running around in the Dark Zone. While there's stuff to do, and believe me, there's a lot of stuff to do in this game, there's no real focused in-game goal. Although really that's something that's supposed to be getting addressed in the first content release in just a few weeks. It's sort of like how Destiny didn't release the very first raid, the Vault of Glass, until about 2 weeks in, I want to say. Next month, in April, we're supposed to be getting incursions and some pretty big changes coming to the Dark Zone very soon, actually. Might even be sooner than April. Massive. The developers behind The Division have been very upfront and very prompt in terms of kind of recognizing and responding to community concerns. In the very first week of the game, people started finding that Midas SMG and realizing that with the right setups, it was a little bit too overpowered in terms of being able to keep your abilities constantly up, and Massive handled that really, really quickly. And they did state recently they were going to be making some changes to the Dark Zone to make it more engaging, more fair, and I guess a little bit more rewarding for players to go rogue. Oh boy, can't wait for that. But for the most part, I can understand the complaint of this game having a thin in-game right now. I don't think it's really too much of a problem. I mean, I wake up and find something to do on here every day, whether it's running my dailies, trying to get some more high-ends, or just trying to grind out some Phoenix credits so I can finally pick up that darn high-end extended mag blueprint, which, by the way, that should be one of the first things you pick up, like maybe right after the blueprint for the Vector. But anyways, it was a legitimate complaint. I don't think it was the only legitimate complaint. As a matter of fact, the article, when you actually read it, it's fairly well balanced. They talk a lot about how the atmosphere in this game is great, and how the core gameplay loop, at least the bare bones of it, are pretty good. But the final result, the final scoring of the game as a 6.7, it just doesn't feel right to me, especially when you compare it with some of the reviews again for the games that have come out in just the past year and the scores that they've gotten on IGN. And I've got a handy little list here that should really drive this point home. Alright, so in the past year, here are about 5 games and the scores that they got that are all better than The Division. Star Wars Battlefront, 8 out of 10. Street Fighter V, 8 out of 10, which, a little anecdote, Street Fighter V, the base game is great, but Capcom essentially released in alpha. It's missing a lot of content, and there's no way it should have cost the full price of a game. I would not give that an 8 out of 10. Assassin's Creed Unity, 7.8 out of 10. Yeah, you know that game that was broken immediately after release and stayed broken for a really long amount of time? Well, maybe you don't remember that one, but you'll definitely remember this one. The Halo Master Chief Collection got a 9 out of 10 on IGN. Yeah, remember that completely broken game that is still to this day not working the way it was supposed to? Yeah, that got a 9 out of 10. And then the final nail in this coffin for me, Evolve. From this very same reviewer, Evolve got a 9 out of 10. One of the biggest complaints this guy had for The Division is that the in-game was thin. There wasn't enough to do. And he gave this game pretty much a 6.7 out of 10 for it. But Evolve, like the perfect example, the mascot for a game not having enough to do, got a 9 out of 10. That right there is probably where the majority of my salt is coming from. And I mean, I know I shouldn't care, and I know it really doesn't matter in the long run, but I feel like The Division, a brand new IP from a basically brand new developer under the Ubisoft house that really just blew away a lot of people's expectations. I mean, as we know from one of my previous videos and from some previous reporting, The Division is the fastest selling new IP of all time for Ubisoft. And the game itself is absolutely worthy of that. It's well built, the game looks great, it runs great. Its core gameplay loop of basically running around, shooting people, and getting loot I think is okay. It's about par for the course when it comes to looter shooters. But for a first offering in a brand new series, I think Massive did a hell of a job, and I've been having a ton of fun with the game. And it especially shines if you're playing it with friends, which very often I am. Now, is The Division a perfect game? Of course not. Far from it. But was it better than Evolve? Oh yeah, absolutely. So when I take this review from IGN, compress it, look at the number, and then compare it with some of the stuff they've reviewed in just the last year, it kind of makes me chuckle a little. And you know, with just how popular The Division is right now, I almost can't help but think, maybe this was a conscious decision to give it a low-looking score, because 6.7 isn't actually that bad of a score. But let's give it a low-looking score for those delicious, wonderful, beautiful clicks. After all, one way in which The Division is just like Destiny is in that people will hotly defend or argue against it. Oh well, all I know is that Division is way better than some of those recent games that IGN has reviewed with a higher score. I think the game is a great first release, I'm having a ton of fun with it, and I can't wait to dive in for more. But anyways, those are my opinions, and I hope you guys have formulated your own. Leave them down in the comment section below. I'm going to be super interested in reading those today. Do you agree with the IGN score? Disagree with it? Think The Division is great? Or bland and uninteresting? And of course, most importantly, are Halo Master Chief Collection, Evolve, and Assassin's Creed Unity the greatest games of all time? Or at least worthy of higher scores than The Division? Well, let me know. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. Got myself a nice little high-end weapon here from this boss drop. As I do recall, it's a nice and shiny brand new tactical ACR, and I am going to be enjoying that. But anyways, thanks so much for watching and partaking in my morning Division salt. As always, I am TheBlackLink. You agents stay frosty and salt-free. 6.7 out of 10. Get that garbage out of here.